Coming up on Mountain News this morning, people begin to mourn the death of Philip Haywood, an iconic Kentucky football coach with a legacy taller than the mountains. And medical providers are helping deliver essential medicine as some people find themselves stranded at home in winter weather.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning. Happy Thursday, Mountain family. My name is Amelia Lee on this January 23rd at 6 o'clock. It's time now to check in with meteorologist Megan Dusmal for a look at your forecast this morning. Megan, it is a cold one out there. I know that some of my roads are still a little bit slick when I'm out hitting that road, not to mention the frost that accumulated on my windows today.
Yeah, definitely heeding that warning out there. You're going to need to spend that extra time scraping your windshield, but also take more time into account when heading out the door because there could still be some patches of ice on the roads this morning. But let's take a look at those temperatures, and what you should be wearing today is still that winter coat. Although we are warmer than yesterday, we are looking in the teens for the most part, and some places still seeing those single digits. Again, there is still some improvement from yesterday, so at least there is that. And as we're heading into the afternoon, still seeing those improvements. We're looking in the mid to upper 30s as those highs. Now a little bit cooler as you're heading towards Wise. We're at 30 degrees on the dot there, but still, again, warmer temperatures overall. Here is the visibility out there. There's one less thing you have to worry about as you're heading off on the road this morning. And we have no precipitation and barely any clouds this morning either, but we do have a slight chance for some snow as we're heading into the afternoon. Amelia.
All right, Megan, thank you. A legendary mountain coach, mentor, and friend is gone. Belfry High School football coach Philip Haywood died after being critically injured in a car crash in Pike County on Saturday. He was 73. Haywood spent more than 5 decades coaching, 41 of those years at Belfry, where he brought home 8 state championships. But many say he'll be remembered just as much for what he did off the field. WYMT's Buddy Forbes has reaction from a heartbroken Pond Creek Nation.
I don't remember a time whenever Coach Haywood wasn't involved at Belfry.
For more than 4 decades, Philip Haywood has led the Pirates to victories on and off the football field.
I've always believed that you got to coach a little more than just the game itself, that there's some great values that can be learned.
Obviously, folks will look at his wins and that kind of legacy and the National Coach of the Year, but he impacted lives far beyond that.
The 73-year-old coach spent his career pushing the Pirates to greatness, literally writing the book on what it means to lead and love with everything you have.
He would rip you for doing the wrong thing on the field, but he would rip you for doing the wrong thing in life because he wanted you to be a great human being. One of the most important things, and that's what he tried to do, is leave that legacy.
Haywood died Wednesday, leaving the Belfry community to remember everything he fed into generations of young minds.
If you can impact those kids now that probably need football more than football needs them, or needs wrestling more than wrestling needs them, then it impacts the community and makes them better and makes your community better. And that's why you probably see a great outpouring of grief from the community.
And while the students, staff, and those who pack the stands are working to accept that Haywood will never again walk onto his stadium, they say he will forever be embedded in the symbol of what it means to be a Pirate.
They see that skull and crossbones, and they remember it because they're tough-nosed kids, and that's what he was proud of. He was proud of that blue-collar, those blue-collar kids, that they could go and play with the best of the best around the country. And that's what he'll be remembered for.
Fighting the fight, finishing the race, and keeping the faith.
We did it! We did it!
In Pike County, Buddy Forbes, WYMT Mountain News.
The coaching staff met with the team yesterday evening at the school to let them hear the news, gather together, and provide whatever support they can as a team, with folks talking around the community about how they will always remember him. Congressman Hal Rogers spoke on the death of the iconic coach and the memory he leaves behind. He said, quote, "He was a legendary coach and community leader who will forever be remembered for far more than his record-breaking football championships for Pond Creek. My wife Cynthia and I share our deepest condolences with the Haywood family and all of our Pirates nation," end quote. To see the full statement, you can check out this story on our website, WYMT.com. Coach Haywood appeared on Issues and Answers at least 3 times. We went through some of those old videos and pulled this quote from 2019.
At the end of the day, how do you want to be remembered?
Well, I want to be remembered as a person that loved his family, loved his kids, loved his church, tried to do the right thing, and that I was just humble enough to know that I make a lot of mistakes every day, you know, and I tell our coaches this, I tell our kids this on a frequent basis. I probably need to tell my wife more that I make mistakes, and she would remind me if I don't, but that I cared about people, and I gave more than I got. And I've always wanted to be a giver. I think that's part of my personality. And I think if people take that upon themselves to give and not worry about what you're getting, but just give, that good things will come back to you. But you don't do it for that reason.
Yeah.
And I think I'd like to be remembered as a person that cared and gave.
And here are just a few of Haywood's accomplishments. He was a head coach for 50 seasons and won 8 state championships at Belfry with 6 runner-up finishes. The last state championship was in 2021. He is the state's all-time winningest coach with 491 victories. Nationally, he was the 5th most wins. He was also an author and sought-after motivational speaker. We'll pass along his funeral arrangements when they are made. Nashville police are looking for a motive after a deadly school shooting. Investigators identified the suspected shooter as 17-year-old Solomon Henderson. They say he walked into the cafeteria at Antioch High School and fired multiple shots. 16-year-old Jocelyn Correa Escalante was killed. Another student was grazed by a bullet but was treated and released. Nashville police say Henderson then turned the gun on himself. There was a vigil last night at Hamilton United Methodist Church in light of the shooting. While we are in a deep freeze, some are making sure those who need things like prescriptions or medical supplies do not go without. Places such as Primary Care of Eastern Kentucky and Rotec are making deliveries to their patients. The older population, disabled people, and those without transportation can possibly get hand-delivered supplies. Chronic illness medications like insulin or heart medications and even oxygen tanks are being delivered to folks.
I like to think about it, if my mom or dad had oxygen tanks and they were running low, I'm going to get nervous and I'm going to be like, you know, who can I call to get these filled before I need them?
Rotec employees say they take pride in treating their patients like their family and giving them the care they need. They deliver 24/7. Primary Care of Eastern Kentucky also makes medication deliveries from 9 until 5. People, however, are urged to make arrangements before the weather gets bad and get their supplies beforehand. There have been widespread outages of natural gas during this cold spell, and some in Magoffin County have been unable to heat their homes. Magoffin County Emergency Management Director says this is common when it gets this cold. The gas outages can be directly affected by temperature. He says there are a few things you can do to try and stay warm if your gas goes out.
Stay in one room and block that room off from, you know, if you got, even if you hang something up over a doorway, if you don't have a door to shut.
You can also use a space heater or a fireplace if possible. He says the most important thing is for the temperature to raise. If you do need a break from the cold, you can head to the Lloyd M. Hall Community Center that's open to stay warm. In Claiborne County, Tennessee, like many other schools across the region, there was no school again yesterday. They've not been back since Christmas break. At Tazewell Church of Christ, their doors are open 24/7 for the next few days as they serve as a warming center. The church does not get any money from the county. They rely on volunteers and donations of food and blankets to run a shelter when it is dangerously cold outside. Mayor Joe Brooks says ideally he would like to chip in financially.
Either
help to buy food items for that, help to pay the utility bills during the times that they do that. I'd just like to be a better partner in that space.
Brooks wants to help, but from a county standpoint has trouble doing so. Last month, he proposed a plan to build 3 warming boxes that would include pillows, blankets, and more to help keep people warm. He asked the county commission for $2,500. It did not pass. We now know the funeral arrangements for a child who died from smoke inhalation injuries sustained during a house fire in Pulaski County. Visitation for Natalie, Carolina, Grace, Stacy will be today from 5 until 8 in the chapel of Southern Oaks Funeral Home in Somerset. The funeral for Stacy will be on Friday morning at 11. Also at Southern Oaks Funeral Home. Stacy was just 12 years old.
We stayed nice and dry from snow yesterday, and that trend continues on a little bit into today. However, there is a snow chance as you're heading into the afternoon hours. But let's take a look at that satellite and radar this morning. And as you can see, for the most part, we're staying nice and clear from even clouds this morning. And again, we do have that chance of snow starting as we're heading in the afternoon in the more westerly counties. But let's take a look at that current wind, how it will be impacting those temperatures and how much colder you will be feeling. We're looking at 14-mile-per-hour winds in Moorhead, 10-mile-per-hour winds in Wise, and 12 in Monticello. Let's take a look at those cities and see how those temperatures drop, what those feels like. We're looking at 8 degrees feels like temperature in Moorhead, a significant drop. And as we look through most of the area, still staying in the single digits and low teens for those feels like, but it's still an improvement because we saw places yesterday with negative feels like temperatures yesterday morning. So again, an improvement there. But as you're going through the next couple hours, here's what you can expect. We'll have those temperatures warming up, hitting the high as we're heading into that 4 o'clock hour. And then we do have that snow picking up as we're heading into that 3 o'clock and into the overnight hours, tapering off as you're heading into your Friday morning. Amelia.
Thank you, Megan, and thank you for joining Mountain News this morning. More news is on the way. Fire-ravaged Southern California finds itself in the grips of yet another fast-moving blaze. But this time, firefighters say they have more control.